I'm liking this setup, right? I think we're calling it the Tai Shark. And, if you want to turn yourself into some sharpshooter sniper, it's not a bad idea. Notice original market structure bottom. There's the W. If you change this to a weekly chart, you should be able to see that. Yeah, look at that W down there, right off of Julian's favorite fib, the JFF 88.6. That to me looks like a pretty kick-ass level. Somebody asked me look at FILUSDT on the 6th of June. Looks to me like this was an example that the market tried to bottom and it failed. Just as simple as that. Where is the 6th of June? It is right there. So this is when somebody asked, interesting how the next day there was a substantial rally, and look at all these divs that all confirmed on this candle that had a huge wick and then basically came and finished right back in the old range there. So a whole bunch of confirmed divergences the day after that. It's too bad too. In fact, actually, this kind of looks like that rune chart, same sort of thing, eh? What do you think the odds are? This was 61.8. I bet you're pretty good, eh? Yeah, actually, this 52 week. Well, yeah, well, maybe let's go against that low there. So you noticed how I did that last summer's low to this spring's high. I mean, technically, you could have done this if you really wanted to. I suppose you could have gone off that low. I like to try and do these studies off a minimum of like 52 weeks. But what I really want to see is I want to see the swing low and swing high. And really, you could make the argument that since this big W was confirmed, that believe it or not, this is your trend line. And look how shallow that is. It's not steep at all. And what a surprise. You know what? I think this is going to become the site preferred setup now. It looks like we had a bit of a smattering of a bottom come in here. If anything, great analogy of how 200 SMA kind of stopped the rallies. There was a dump, we lost it, they rallied back and then back up and then down and up and down, and just every time the 200 SMA just kept acting as a brick wall, and there was that push up there and then dumpster. And sadly, we just broke through all these lows. So any kind of bullish setups that you were thinking about done off of this range right here, they've all been negated. And I hate to say it, this is a trader's life. If you're going to take a shot here, it's not a terrible idea. This is probably a really good example of us wanting to wait for market structure on the other side of trend lines. So notice, you had asked about this name right on the date where it was sitting right at the trend line, and we tried to get the breakout through the trend line, and that was just rejected violently. So this is a level 2 concept as it stands right now. Looking back in hindsight, obviously that long ideas just didn't work. Good example, little old ladies. If you're working stink bids, I'll work a bid at 61.8. I'll work another bid at 78.6. And right now you're rooting for lower prices to try and get this fill. Hell, you might even have another bid working at 88.6, and maybe that's on some sort of dip against this original trend line. And you might even argue too, and I had this where it's sort of joking tongue in cheek, I'm liking this setup, right? I think we're calling it the Tai Shark. And, if you want to turn yourself into some sharpshooter sniper, it's not a bad idea. Notice original market structure bottom. There's the W. If you change this to a weekly chart, you should be able to see that. Yeah, look at that W down there, right off of Julian's favorite fib, the JFF 88.6. That to me looks like a pretty kick-ass level. If I was sitting here saying, Brian, he likes that 78.6, and maybe that's the shark setup off of this original market structure bottom, but it wouldn't shock me if we actually had to come all the way back down, dump against this trend line and that 88.6, and there's where your bottom comes in. And present, all we're really doing is we're just working stink bids against levels that we think might see the market pivot off of. That's it. There's nothing else here. Should we maybe, since we are in reload zones, this thing definitely has a permission. It is in trade location, and our 3 reasons for a trade. So we are in acceptable trade location. This thing did start to spit out bull divs on our indicators, and you start seeing higher lows on the indicators, but lower lows in price. And then we broke out through the trend line, and then we actually put in a W. Then that point, we start saying, okay, we have 3-step setup, and we're actually talking about this thing actually starting to try and trend higher. My hunch is probably kind of like what you see here with the 200 SMA. We probably have to get to the point where the 200 SMA is actually pointing down to actually get that breakout. And there is your W kind of, I'm officially trending higher on other sides of trend lines, right? We could probably draw, well, I mean, that one's really steep, but probably even draw something like there to there. You can just do this the whole way down. There. Well, actually, it's not bad. I think you probably have a nice little W on the other side of this trend line here. But I guess just the point being that we're below this fast trend line right now, and we were just rejected off of it. So there's no buy signals here anywhere in sight. So this is like stink bid fishing. If you're a little old lady working these 3 bids here, it's not a bad idea. And then if we actually do break trend lines, put in W's, you can always add to the trade going forward.